I've been here one day, 2 days now. I'm fascinated by it. I find it the most interesting place. I had no idea what to expect. And speaking to people last night, I just realised what a fascinating history the place has and how amazing it must be to be Polish. No, I didn't. People ask me that, is there a character that I identify with? Not really. If anybody, I always say perhaps Baron Harold, because he was fat and he made bad jokes. But no, I always was the manipulator above it all. Holt is actually based on I didn't know it when I was writing it. Holt is based on my 6th grade teacher, and Will is based on my son. Well, as I said, I've been here 2 days. And somebody asked me that earlier. There probably will be, because I tend to, when I'm thinking about stories, I tend to think of locations and things I've seen. And for example, we're going to Krakow tomorrow, and we're visiting castles on Sunday. So there will be, not necessarily the country, but the things I've seen will turn up, yeah. Oh, I'm the apprentice and I need a master. I'd have to have Holt. I mean, he's the greatest ranger ever. I mean, yeah. Ooh, my brother. I think there are many writers that I look up to. I wouldn't call them I would not aspire to be their brothers. I think my favourite of all time is an English author called C.S. Forester, who wrote an amazing series about a character called Horatio Hornblower, which was set during the Napoleonic Wars, and Hornblower was a naval officer. Plus, Forester wrote a whole slew of other wonderful books that I've always enjoyed. Possibly Horace, I think. Horace is very grounded. Horace is very sensible. He's also very good at what he does, and he's married to Evangeline, Cassandra. So, yeah, I think Horace. Or Tug. Oh, that's a very good question. And I'm trying to remember. The first 4 books grew naturally, because my agent, I was writing the first one and my agent said, it's too long. I said, no, it'll be about 300, 400. She said, it's too long. And that was when she told me that she wanted to sell it as a children's book, and I was a bit taken aback by that. But I thought, okay, fair enough, good idea. So she said, it's too long for a children's book. And I said, well, what about if I cut it in half and do it as 2 books? And she said, yeah, that'd work. And I continued with the second book, and that was getting too long, so I cut that into 3 and then eventually into 4. Now, I had planned that sequence of stories really as 2 books. They became 4. So it's sort of a bit half and half. I'd planned it and it happened organically. But by the time I'd written the 4th book, I knew what the last book was going to be. I didn't know what number it would be. I didn't know how many would be in between. I just decided that if there were good story ideas, I would continue them. And then I'd come to a point where I'd go, okay, now I'll finish it. But I always planned it to be a finite piece. Okay, we're talking what's called writer's block in English. I don't suffer it to any great degree because I plan my stories, my books, before I write them. So I'll spend a couple of months putting down ideas for events that will happen in the book. When I've done that and I've got a lot of events there, I will put them into order in a 4-page outline. 1 page beginning, 2 pages middle, 1 page end. And that's a good structure. It's establishment, development, resolution. And that's a good balanced structure. When I've got that, I then write a chapter by chapter outline. I sort of allow roughly 40, 45 chapters. And so I'll do half a dozen lines on each. And then I print both the outline and the chapter by chapter outline. Print them out and have them beside me. And I write a chapter every day. So every day I know what I'm going to write, which means I don't suffer serious writer's block. Sometimes I will think, well, I know what, yeah, they're going to this village across the other side. Do I just say they got on their horses and they rode and they rode and they rode and they rode? How do I get there? So the way I do that, the trick to me is don't stop writing. So what I did when this happened, this particular incident, is in the Kings of Clonmel. They break camp, so I just thought, break camp. So I started writing saying how Will lit a fire and made a pot of coffee. Now I did 3 pages on that. By the time I'd finished it, they got on their horse, I was writing. And then I realised they'd be running into people on the road. And so I wrote that chapter, and my normal chapter's 5 pages long. That was 8 pages long. I then went back and took out all the bit about making coffee. And if I ever get stuck on a detail like that, I'll just write about anything. And then that's the beauty of computers. Then you just take it out. So it doesn't, I think if you plan it, you don't have a serious writer's block. Oh, I don't drink coffee when I'm writing. Oh, I do sometimes, yeah. I used to drink a lot more coffee than I do now. I drink it black with sugar. I thought I could get away with them having coffee. I didn't think I could invent sugar in medieval Europe. So I thought honey, they'll have honey in the coffee. So I don't drink to the amount. It's become a nice joke for me, the coffee thing. I had a woman in America very indignantly write to me saying there was no coffee in medieval Europe. So I did a 4-page outline on the history of coffee in Araloo, and I said, you know, this isn't medieval Europe, this is my world. Here's where the coffee came from. And she never wrote back. The day, I start the day, I have breakfast. I love the fact I work from home. I've got a terrific upstairs office that overlooks the area where I live. It's got windows down 2 sides. My little dog comes up to the room with me. She lies on her cushion under the window, and I will read the previous day's chapter and edit, see if there's any mistakes, seeing as I've repeated something. When I've done that, I'll then check my list, what's going to happen in this one. Sometimes if I've got I'll make extra notes on events, and then I start writing. And usually that's at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I go until I've finished a chapter, and that usually is about 1 o'clock. And when I've finished, that's it for the day. I go and play golf, or I have lunch and read a book, but it's my time. And it's necessary to do that to recharge your brain, I think. And I only write Monday to Fridays. I originally thought I could work on the weekends and finish the book, and I thought, no, you need a break. So yeah, Monday to Friday. And of course, sometimes that's broken up if I've got interviews and things like that, or school visits. But it's pretty much a set schedule, and I think it helps to have a schedule.